I know that.
Try to keep it secret.
Yeah. How about that? I've been with him most of the day, and I didn't even know that. Happy birthday, Pat.
Appreciate it. We'll let Coach give an opening statement, and he'll take your questions.
All right. Well, obviously, really good to be here today. Big day. Very kind of first of the signing class, unique to have an early signing period, and to say that we were going to hit the ground running 13 days ago, I think is an understatement. We did have 7 members join us, as we call our Razor Fast 18 group. 7 members, expecting possibly 1 to 2 more may join us before Friday. We'll see. 4 defensive players, 3 offensive players, and definitely feel like that we addressed some of the speed and the size and the length that we were going after. With that, I'll open up for questions.
Coach, you ever had a kid from the wrong Coliseum?
No. You know, I was just on TV a little bit earlier, and that'd be hard to top across the country. I don't know if anybody can top that one, but to have Connor Noland to sign from that venue is pretty special. That'll be one we'll talk about for a long time. So.
What's your travel and schedule been like the last 2 weeks, just trying to put together a class in such a short amount of time?
Yeah, you know, it's a obviously did the press conference on a Thursday, was in Holmes that night, and seemed like I've been in Holmes just about every night. It's been nonstop, all the way up till last Friday, and then we had an official visit weekend. We had a good number come in, and then Sunday was a little bit after everybody left, was a chance to kind of settle in. We evaluated a lot of our current talent that we have. Really spent Sunday, Monday, both recruiting and evaluating, and so it's been pretty wild. Let me tell you, I couldn't recall exactly where I've been because I've been so many places.
So maybe a comment about each of your signees. What do you think they'll add for you? What are good fits for you?
You know, obviously, when you look at these guys, Ladarius Bishop, Day out of Ashdown, you know, a young man that we felt like that we had to have some speed and some athleticism in addition to what we have at corner. And knew that, you know, obviously he was committed to another school, and but right here in our own state, we had to go get that guy. And I think he's going to bring a lot to our program, a young man that's got the size that we need at corner. B.J. Farrell was a young man that we offered when we first got here. Really excited about him and his size, his athleticism from Fort Ice. You know, I think we saw some clips of him playing running back, and a big man like that to play running back and watch some of his skill set. I'm excited about him. Isaiah Nichols from right here in Springdale is really excited to be a part of this. He had been previously committed and went over and did a home visit. He was, as they all were, kind of wavering, kind of unknowns, but to be able to go over and see that young man and to see his coming from a great program and his athleticism. Obviously, we talked about Connor Noland, what he brings to the table. I'm really excited about him. Had a chance to go and spend some time with him and his family. Really excited about his competitive background that he brings. I think he's going to be a great player for us. Bumper Poole, a young man from Lovejoy High School down in Texas. We had recruited Bumper for quite some time. Got a lot of insight on him. Excited about what he brings with a hard-nosed mentality at that linebacker position. Silas Robinson. Silas is from Yoakum High School in Yoakum, Texas, a young man that we had committed a long time ago and held on to, but comes from a coaching background, a coaching family, big, athletic. Matter of fact, played quarterback just a few years ago. So he's got a lot of athleticism, is going to help us out in the offensive line. Michael Woods, wide receiver from Magnolia, very dynamic, explosive, and got great size. So those 7 young men have been kind of the premier class, so to speak. They're kind of the inaugural group of 7 that we've signed. Again, we expect to get 1, maybe 2 more between now and Friday.
How confident are you that Noland is going to be on campus and bypass the baseball draft?
Well, I'm just going from what he and I talked about. I know he's a fantastic baseball player, and it's you know, I look forward to watching him play, matter of fact, this spring, and seeing his skill set. But I feel confident. You know, it's hard to say that right now, but, you know, he and I, all indications are he's going to be here and be ready to go.
Coach, you've only been on the job for a few days, obviously, so we're not talking about this class, but Arkansas has never been a school that wows everybody with their recruiting rankings on National Signing Day and has all those guys on TV picking the hats. What's kind of your plan to make this a destination school for highly recruited athletes that you're in big competition
Yeah.
down the road?
I think the biggest thing is you have to go with a fit. What fits us? What fits the University of Arkansas? There is such thing as fantastic football players that don't fit the University of Arkansas. We don't need those. There's such thing as really, really good football players and great football players that do fit, that like the setting that we have and like the dynamics of being able to come in and contribute and maybe contribute early. Those are the guys you want to get. It doesn't really matter to me. We don't star recruit. You know, a guy may be a 2-star or a 5-star. Does he fit? Because if he fits, that's what we want. And I think you can look at some of the premier NFL teams out there. We actually did a study on the Dallas Cowboys of the number of 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, all the way down to no stars that are made the roster. And I want someone that wants to be here. I want someone that's hungry. I want someone that's excited to be able to come in and make a difference and to change the dynamics of a program. And I've said this many times, sitting in many living rooms, this is a sleeping giant. And I firmly believe with the right fit and the right combination and the momentum and the energy that we're going to bring, that we're going to wake it up.
Coach, does Connor Nolan fit, to use your word? Is he the kind of quarterback that you've seen work in your systems and other places? Do you have that skill set?
Yeah, he does. He really does. And I think you can look at Taj Boyd as an example. You know, Taj was not a great runner, but Taj would run enough to keep people honest. But a phenomenal passer, a great deep ball passer, maybe one of the best deep ball throwers that we've had. When you look at the success that my previous quarterback at SMU's had, Ben Hicks, thrown for over 3,000 yards, this year ran well enough to keep the chains moving. So absolutely, I want a competitor. I want someone that wants to get out there and wants to compete. Again, if you get caught up in all the dynamics of the measurements, I think you lose focus of really what's below and what's inside. You want someone that has a great competitive heart and drive about themselves.
Considering like SMU is playing in a bowl game today, do you feel it's early signing maybe a mistake?
You know, I've gone back and forth on that, and I've really changed my opinion over the last 13 days, to be exact. And I think I'm not in favor of it. It's been a wild ride, to say the least, over 13 days. When you walk into a young man's house and you're trying to build a relationship that maybe that could have been 2.5 months or 2 months of building from December all the way through January to get to February signing day, and now all of a sudden you walk in and you try to build that relationship, or a 2-year relationship if we had been established longer, in 20 minutes or an hour. And in the meantime, now don't forget, this young man has final exams. He's studying for finals. He's in finals. He's taking reviews. He's got to study that night. He's got, you know, different things going on, and yet we're trying to get in to see the family, and so it's been quite the challenge. So I'm not in favor of it.
You think that's equally as challenging on the student athlete?
I think so. I do. I think there was a lot of things that when we got to this. You know, you got, as you mentioned, you got teams that are have been in bowl sites for almost 4 or 5 days. That's at a distinct disadvantage. I think the student athletes, from those that we've gone into that were in the middle of final exams, or, you know, coach, you can't come in here. I've got this final tomorrow, and I'd like to study here. Or you can come in at this time, but I got to be out and have this. And so there's a lot of moving parts, like putting a jigsaw puzzle together.
Where would you say you're in the process of getting your defensive staff put together? Do you think it's important to have SEC experience with those guys, and will the coordinator get to choose his position guys?
No, the coordinator will get a chance to choose his position guys with the assistance of me and making sure it's the right fit for what we're about and the culture that we're going to establish here. But I do feel like that, you know, when we look to name a defensive coordinator in the near future, that I want someone that has been well established, well proven, and it has the excitement, the energy level, and the get up and go that I have.
How much interest has been expressed in the UB coordinator?
Yeah, if I had my phone with you, I'd show you all the number of phone calls and text messages, but it's quite a bit. I mean, this is definitely one that I've had to take a few pages of notes on of taking names down and talking to guys. So, and that's what I've done over the last few weeks, as well as trying to recruit.
Has there been some surprises like, wow, I didn't know that guy would be interested?
Yeah, there's a few here and there. There are, and a lot of guys that I've just reached out, and some guys that I've reached out to that through either playing against or coaching against, or seeing from afar, watching on film, and like kind of what they do, and just seeing is there an interest, engaging an interest, and sometimes there is, and it turns in they're not, and but it's been really productive, and I'm really excited about it. So, I'm gonna get you ready to go.
Nolan being a two-sport athlete, how are you with him playing baseball?
Yeah.
If you had a track guy who was a sprinter, how are you with two-sport?
Well, when we look at the evaluation process moving forward with our recruits, I want players that play multiple sports. I feel like that does a couple of things. I think number one, it develops an overall skill set, a well-rounded skill set. Two, it shows me that this young man can be coached in different ways, because every coach that he deals with in a different sport coaches him a little bit different. So that's intriguing to me. So if I have a player that's dead equal and he plays one sport or he plays two sports, I'm going to go after the two-sport athlete first.
Are you okay with him doing two-sport?
Absolutely. We did that and have done that. So, yeah.
Can you speak to the salary pool, so to speak, for the assistants that you'll be able to hire? Just kind of your thoughts about what you got to spend there.
Well, we've got we're fair and comparable to the rest of the SEC, and I don't want to get into specifics just yet, but I definitely think that we're going to be able to attract very much top caliber and quality individuals here.
Coach, have you had a chance to, I know
Sorry,
you've
come
been
back.
running hard, but have you had a chance to review your roster? And then, in answering that, can you talk about what your approach is going to be between now and February's signing day, and kind of try to get where you want to go?
We have, and we looked at that on Sunday. Started Sunday night and all day Monday night, Tuesday, and into late last night. Took a little bit of break and went over the basketball game, but we have, and very, very intrigued. There was a lot of young players that played on both sides of the ball last year, and I was the overall team speed. I was surprised in a good way in some of the areas, and some of the areas we've got to definitely do a good job on. We're gonna do some things a little bit different as far as the conditioning approach. That's going to be a big emphasis for us moving forward. As a matter of fact, every one of these young men have already been issued their 3-week winter conditioning packet that we strongly encourage them that they need to follow over the next few days or few weeks. So yeah, we have, and excited about it. Excited to get the defensive staff in here and share some of my ideas, and as far as just the evaluation process that I've gone through, and looking forward.
And then what's your approach between now and February, since you barely had a chance at this signing day? How do you approach the next one?
Well, we've got a list of targeted guys that we met this morning on. Some of them will be taken off the board as they sign over the next few days. So we'll have our 2018 target list that we're going after. Again, I anticipate probably signing anywhere from 6 to 8, maybe a little higher, but usually that 6 to 8 category, with a focus for the most part being probably 4 and 4, both offense and defense. So we got our targeted guys. We're in contact with them. They're excited. We'll have 3 big official visit weekends coming up. 2 of those will be tied in with a basketball game that we'll be excited about to get these young men on campus, and so I'm very confident that over the next few weeks that we'll be able to pick up some much anticipated needs to fill some of our roster spots. And I also don't want to fill up. There's a chance that as this whole thing happens, and if you have attrition, there may be someone out there at the end of this thing that wants to find a home that fits us. So.
Are there any midterm graduates in this class that will be enrolling in January? And also, is this early signing period kind of putting pressure on kids to graduate early and go through spring practice?
You know, I would have to look at that after the signing period is all done and see those that signed and those that enrolled. From what I'm gathering, it's those that signed today, tomorrow, and Thursday, and those that are going to, the same amount enrolling early on. You know, I bet you're probably looking at about 80% of the kids that sign are pretty much probably going to land a spot somewhere in January at the place they signed. Looking at us right now, I know that I'm looking, and I believe we're going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 that could possibly be joining us in January. For sure, I know for sure Mike Woods will be joining us in January. He'll be here.
I'm not necessarily, you haven't added a strength and conditioning coach yet, have you?
I have not yet. We're going to name that around the time that we name our defensive coordinator.
How important is a strength and conditioning?
I think that's the number one hire, 1 and 1A, right behind and in front of the defensive coordinator.
On your staff.
I think without a doubt, the strength coach is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You've got a number of SMU guys that have been with you recruiting. Are you prepared to say what their official roles are going to be on your staff? And then on the 10th assistant coach, how do you plan to utilize that? Are you going to try to have 5 on offense, 5 on defense, or some other approach?
Yeah, as far as the guys joining me from the SMU staff, there'll be a time that we'll introduce the entire University of Arkansas coaching staff. I'm not prepared to say who's coaching what at this time, but there will be a time in the very near future we'll do that. The 10th assistant, there's kind of twofold in that. That'll be a guy that'll come on. I would like for that to be a 5 and 5 offense and defense, but have some special teams, heavy special teams duties involved as well.
So do you plan to have a special teams coordinator, or would you divide those responsibilities up?
No, I will have a special teams coordinator, analyst position role that he would wind up, if it's an off-the-field guy, would wind up coaching the coaches.
Not
Time
having
for a
your
couple more.
defensive staff completely set, have you
Mhm.
found any challenges in the guys that you've got assigned, and then the guys you're recruiting as well?
Yeah, a little. A lot of them are just kind of like y'all are. They're asking questions, and they want to know. And some of those guys I can get a little bit more in depth with. You know, when we you know, some of them that obviously a few that are a part of us now and have signed with us. I've assured them that our standard is best. Everything we do is best. And that's exactly what we're going to get. We're going to go get the best coordinator in the country, and that's our commitment each and every day.
Coach, you mentioned signing 6 or 8 more. By my count, the numbers are a little tight at the 85, and I know sometimes that means difficult conversations, sometimes you have natural attrition. How do you approach that?
Well, I think you know, everybody gets in here in December, and we'll have one-on-one meetings. I've already had one meeting and went great and communicated, and but there'll be meetings along the way that you know, where do they fit? How does it fit? The new system, the new I guess challenges that'll come with a new coaching staff, the new demands, the differences, and the way we do our strength and conditioning, the way we'll do our our summer work. As far as I'm really big on conditioning. Obviously, I know that we got to be strong, and we are going to be strong, but we put a huge emphasis on bar speed movement. It's about how can I get from point A to point B as fast as I can and do it in a football movement. So you know, as it works, and it's this way all across the country, you'll go through winter, and some will see where they're at on the depth chart, and usually you have some attrition, but you know, we're coming in here and everybody's on the level playing field. Everybody's got to prove the same thing, whether you're a senior or a freshman. Just as every coach has got to walk in here and prove themselves, so does every player, and so I think that's only fair.
Yeah, with spring football, do you like to have spring early, or are you like?
Yeah, we're trying to figure out when the spring game's going to be, and working with the SEC network and trying to get that put into kind of a finalization of a date. We should have that pretty soon, and when we do that, we'll count backwards. I usually like to go Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, with Saturdays being big scrimmage days. And so, but again, as we get closer to spring, we'll have that. Yes, sir.
Very long about
Mhm.
recruiting for you. I wonder how beneficial it's been to have two guys who were familiar with the state program, and you anticipate that there's going to be some sort of position for them, whether it's on field or sports staff.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that later. But I do know this, that both of those guys have been very beneficial to help us all out. They've gotten us around the state and in the doors, and helped us out with connecting some of the dots. A lot of the coaches now we already knew, had a little bit of a relationship with, but these guys have had in-depth relationships with, and they've been very beneficial and very helpful. So, and then moving forward with our staff, again, we'll talk about all that in the near future. So, Bob, do you have one?
Obviously, did all the heavy lifting to get SMU to a bowl. And I know, obviously, you got your hands full here, but you're playing a bowl game tonight. It would have been your first bowl game as head coach. Is there any part of you that is kind of, wishes, well, I wish I could be coaching those guys in this bowl game?
Well, I've really have shot a lot of the guys a text message. I did that first thing this morning when I got up, and wished them the best, told them I was thinking of them, I loved them, and to go represent, go be the standard. And they all hit me back, and they know I'll be watching, I'll be pulling for them. But it is, I'm very excited for these young men and the opportunity they have tonight. They've gone through as everybody has, the transition. That's a group of young men that had to go through a transition too, and prepare in a bowl game, and it's been really tough on those guys. But they've rallied together, they've stayed together, and I'm proud of them, and I'll definitely be watching and pulling for them tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Y'all have a Merry Christmas.